cameras were still rolling when the chemistry between them began to feel a little too real to ignore. On set, everything was scripted, every glance and every touch carefully choreographed. Yet somehow, when Songyun and Hou Minghao stood face to face, there was an unspoken layer that no director could have planned. It wasn't just acting anymore. It felt like something quietly unfolding behind the scenes. Their schedules were relentless, the kind that left little room for anything beyond memorizing lines and hitting marks. Days started before sunrise and often stretched deep into the night. For most actors, that pace leaves them drained, disconnected from the outside world. But for the two of them, those long hours became an unexpected bridge, a space where something more personal began to grow. It started subtly. A shared laugh after a difficult scene. A glance held just a second too long. Crew members began to notice the difference. There was a natural ease between them, a comfort that didn't need explanation. Even during breaks, when most actors retreated into their own worlds, they often stayed close, talking quietly or simply enjoying the rare silence together. Balancing such intense filming schedules with any form of personal connection is never easy. The pressure is constant and the expectations are high. Yet somehow they found a rhythm. It wasn't about grand gestures or dramatic confessions. Instead, it was in the small, consistent moments that built something meaningful. There were nights when exhaustion took over, when even speaking felt like too much effort. But even then, their presence seemed to energize each other. A simple smile could shift the mood, turning fatigue into something lighter. It was as if they had become each other's quiet support system in a world that rarely slows down. Rumors, of course, began to circulate. Fans are quick to notice chemistry, especially when it feels genuine. Speculation spread across social media, with clips and behind-the-scenes moments analyzed in detail. Every interaction became a clue, every smile a possible confirmation of something more. But neither of them rushed to address the whispers. In an industry where every word can be magnified, silence often speaks louder. They continued focusing on their work, maintaining professionalism while allowing their natural dynamic to remain unchanged. It was a delicate balance, acknowledging nothing yet hiding very little. Their co-stars occasionally teased them, adding fuel to the growing curiosity. Light-hearted jokes during interviews hinted at the closeness everyone could see. Still, there was a respect for boundaries, an understanding that some things didn't need to be explained to the world. Filming intense emotional scenes often requires actors to tap into something deeply personal. For them, those scenes seemed to blur the line between fiction and reality. The emotions felt raw, authentic in a way that resonated not just with the audience but with everyone present on set. Between takes, they would sometimes remain in character, lingering in the emotional space of the scene. But gradually, it became harder to tell where the performance ended and real feelings began. That ambiguity only added to the intrigue surrounding them. Their ability to manage both demanding careers and a growing connection became something quietly admirable. While others struggled to maintain balance, they seemed to adapt. It wasn't perfect, and there were moments of strain, but they handled it with a maturity that spoke volumes. There were days when their schedules barely aligned, when scenes were filmed separately and communication became limited. Yet even in those gaps, there was a sense of continuity. A message, a quick check-in, a reminder that despite the chaos, they were still connected. For fans, the idea of a real-life romance developing amid such hectic conditions felt almost cinematic. It mirrored the stories they portrayed on screen. Two people finding each other despite the odds, navigating challenges with quiet resilience. What made their situation unique was the absence of forced narrative. There were no staged appearances or carefully crafted public displays. If something was happening, it was unfolding naturally, away from the spotlight that usually demands spectacle. The production team, while focused on the project, couldn't ignore the positive energy their connection brought. Scenes flowed more smoothly, interactions felt more genuine, and the overall atmosphere became more collaborative. It was a reminder that authenticity can elevate even the most structured environments. There were moments of vulnerability, too. The kind that comes from being constantly observed, constantly judged. In those moments, having someone who understands the pressure becomes invaluable. For them, that understanding seemed to come effortlessly. Their conversations often extended beyond work. They talked about ambitions, fears, and the unpredictable nature of their careers. Those deeper exchanges created a foundation that went beyond surface-level attraction, hinting at something more enduring. Time, however, remained their biggest challenge. With overlapping commitments and unpredictable schedules, maintaining any form of consistency required effort. Yet they didn't shy away from it. Instead, they adapted, finding ways to make even the smallest windows of time meaningful. There were no dramatic declarations, no defining moment that changed everything. Instead, it was a gradual shift, a series of quiet realizations that something important was taking shape. And sometimes, those are the connections that last the longest. Their story, whether fully realized or still unfolding, became a reflection of modern relationships in high-pressure environments. It showed that even amidst chaos, connection is possible, though it may require patience and understanding. Fans continued to watch closely, picking up on every subtle detail. A shared glance during a press event, a synchronized reaction during an interview. Each moment added another layer to the narrative that had captured so much attention. Despite the attention, they remained grounded. Work continued to be their priority, and any personal connection existed alongside it, not in place of it. That balance was crucial, allowing them to grow both professionally and personally without sacrificing either. There were times when distance tested them, when the demands of their careers pulled them in different directions. Yet those moments also revealed the strength of their bond. It wasn't about constant presence, but about consistent understanding. In many ways, their situation highlighted the realities of life in the entertainment industry. It's a world that moves quickly, where moments are fleeting and schedules are unpredictable. Finding something genuine within that environment is rare, but not impossible. Their connection became a quiet reminder that not everything needs to be defined immediately. Some stories are meant to unfold slowly, revealing themselves over time rather than all at once. As filming progressed, their dynamic continued to evolve. What started as simple comfort grew into something deeper, something that neither of them seemed in a hurry to label. And perhaps that was what made it feel so real. There was a certain beauty in that uncertainty. In a world that often demands clear answers, they allowed themselves the space to simply experience what was happening without rushing to conclusions. For those around them, it was both intriguing and inspiring. It showed that even in the most structured environments, genuine human connection can still find a way to emerge. Their journey wasn't without challenges, but those challenges only seemed to strengthen what they were building. Every obstacle became an opportunity to understand each other better, to adapt and grow. As the project neared completion, questions about what would happen next naturally arose. Would their connection continue once the cameras stopped rolling, or was it something tied to the world they had created together? There were no clear answers, and perhaps there didn't need to be. Some stories are defined not by their endings, but by the moments that shape them along the way. For now, they remained focused on the present, on the work in front of them, and the connection that had quietly become a part of their daily lives. Whatever the future held, it would come in its own time. And maybe that's what made their story so compelling. It wasn't about perfection or certainty. It was about two people navigating demanding careers while discovering something meaningful in the spaces in between. In the end, whether their connection becomes a lasting romance or simply a cherished chapter in their lives, it has already left an impression. Not just on those who watch them, but on the way we understand balance, connection, and the possibility of finding something real when we least expect it. Because sometimes, the most powerful stories aren't the ones written in scripts, but the ones that unfold quietly behind the scenes, shaped by moments that no camera can fully capture.